Hello and welcome to Soups and Sabers. My name is Jordan. With me today is Ron. How are you today, Ron?
I'm doing good, man. We got another fun little Star Wars kind of retrospective here. Looking back on a pretty big anniversary here for the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. So I'm excited. We got a lot of fun stuff to get into today.
Yeah, and you can't spell Star Wars without star. And our star of the episode here is Tommy Bechtold. How are you, Tommy?
My God, that was wonderful. I'm better now. I'll say that. No, I'm doing good. Happy to talk about Revenge of the Sith, a film that I don't know if there are many Star Wars films that I have changed my opinion on more.
Oh,
You know, a lot of them have remained my opinions on them, mostly positive, a few negative, but this one I've gone. We'll get into it, but when this came out, it was at a point in fandom for Star Wars that was very interesting. Not dissimilar to where we are now, but for very different reasons.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll love to hear the ones that you have had negative thoughts about going forward. We'll have to get you on for those anniversaries too.
Absolutely, I guess. Yes, please. It's not many. I love Star Wars, and I find the beauty in everything. So like even the stuff I don't like, there are many things about them that I enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, I'll usually say that like there's not like a lot of. I'll watch any Star Wars in that case, right? Like I'm not. Do I love Attack of the Clones as much as the rest of them? No, but like, that is one. Yeah.
Are we all going to die on the hill of Book of Boba Fett here, or are we going to embrace the fact that Matthew Berry voiced a droid? Like
that's true.
Exactly. There you go.
That was my
I was a droid.
Which is ironic because he was also a robot in Fallout. So he's just
that's
right.
Is
he really?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I know him all the way back from the IT crowd. The back in the day on the IT crowd.
You're a Matt Berry. Not to be confused with Matthew Berry, the fantasy football guru.
True. Yes, not him. No, he has not been in Star Wars, to my knowledge.
I met that guy once, and we had a very uncomfortable altercation. We were like testing out a game show for what G4 Network, and he was like getting a little too comfortable as a host and just started making fun of the appearances of all of the contestants, including females. And I was like, stop being a dick. And he was like, do you know who I am? Not like that, but it was very,
no, I don't.
Very much like, I was like, I don't care. I'm making $150 to help you make this stupid show. Leave me alone. I'm sure he's a nice man, but I don't know that he went to number 2 on my Matt Berry rankings.
That's wild. Holy crap.
Oh boy. But yes, we're doing the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith here. Before we get started, I wanted to kind of give you a little bit of a maybe like a warm-up question. This is a fun question I came up with here. Okay. If there was a Star Wars planet that you could vacation at, where are you spending like your week-long vacation at in the Star Wars universe?
I mean, earnest answer. The Wookiee planet of Kashyyyk is beautiful, and I've always been a man who favored the mountains and the woods to the beach. So it reminds me of a more Adirondack feel. I don't want to take all of them, but Naboo is basically presented as like the paradise planet, right? Like,
I was thinking Naboo's like a tourist destination for sure, right?
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to Dathomir. Give me these creepy.
Hell yeah.
Give me the dark. Yeah, you know
the nightlife there. That's where the parties are at.
I'm a freaky kind of guy, so you know what? You bring me somewhere like that. I don't need nice water or tropical settings, anything like that. No. Maybe I'm just walking around, get scooped up by some night sisters. I end up in like some weird ritual or something. That's the fun of it. Boys, that's the fun of
snoo. Yes, I like that.
You never know. You never know what you're going to get on these vacations. So yeah,
I think those are wise. That's a wise choice.
Jeez, that's it's tough. I'll tell you, it's not going to be Zepho. Okay, I hated that planet on the
Jedi game. Your way around.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was trying to remember, and I was like, oh God, I think I blocked that out of my head.
You always had like the little like centipedes jumping out of the ground.
So annoying. Oh my God. And they did way more damage than they had any business doing. So annoying.
No, I'd probably go with like Naboo, be a basic white guy, I guess. And say,
I mean, I think George Lucas was steering us towards that, right? Like he was like, look at this. This is the Bahamas of the galaxy here.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. You know, them rolling around in the hay.
Yeah. And just the crystal blue water with things lurking below the surface that want to kill you.
Yeah. There's always a bigger fish.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So yes, for the Revenge of the Sith 20th anniversary special, we're going to follow kind of like we did with Phantom Menace last time we had Tommy on in that one.
Mm-hmm.
I also did Return of the Jedi 40th back in the day, and this was the same sort of structure. So we're going to go through with like just stories or what you remember of the first time you saw it, maybe the build up to it, right? Because this was a very, at the time, and I was going to talk about this when we talk about what comes after the movie too, but for a time we thought this was it, right? This is what we're building to. Episode 3 is the end of it. George was out there saying, it's a circle. It's done. You know, he was done with Star Wars at this point when it comes to the movies. So, you know, there was that type of hype about it too. Like, oh, the last Star War is coming out, you know,
the last Star War.
The last Star War. You know, when Lucille Bluth says, go see a Star Wars, she meant this one, the last one, okay? But yeah, so, you know, I remember, if I just kick things off here, just like, this was probably one of the heights of my Star Wars fandom, right? Like, we're looking at, I first kind of got on board with watching the VHSs of, like I mentioned last time, of like, I had Return of the Jedi, and that was it. And then I had the Phantom Menace DVD, right? So until I got all of them on VHS and then all of them on DVD, those were the ones I'd revisit. And Attack of the Clones came out, and I remember like buying the toys, reading the books, going to the movies to see that. But then this one was like, it felt like just the air was different, you know, because while Attack of the Clones, I would say, was not received well, there was still that hope, you know. People talk about the Marvel memes of we're so back. Like, that was this to a T when people are seeing like the teaser footage with like the of the Vader breath. People are like, oh yeah, sign me up. Even though Attack of the Clones wasn't good, I'll be there, you know. And I remember just the toys were everywhere. This was back when toy aisles had like the nice like signage above it, and everything was drawing you in. And the hype
you weren't going to Walmart without taking a stroll down that aisle. There was just no chance.
And if you do now, like, nothing's there. But back then, everything was there.
Sad, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, fast food tie-ins, Darth Vader on oranges or something, right? Like, it was everywhere. And some of the merchandise we'll talk about later.
I was gonna say, we'll get to maybe the coolest, like, mass-produced sort of like giveaway style piece of Star Wars merch we've ever gotten. I wish that I still had the ones that I had back in the day, because I had like 10 of them and now they're all gone. We won't skip too far ahead though.
But yeah, so that was like the build up to it. And I just remember my first time seeing this movie. I went opening day. I remember sitting on the carpet outside of the theater while they're cleaning the theater, right? And it's like for the last showing, and they're like got us lined up. This was before advanced tickets and all that, I guess. And just like trying to get the vibe check from the people walking out of the theater. I was 14, so I was almost 14. I was 13 at this time, turning 14 a month later. And I remember sitting there watching the Vader, Anakin Obi-Wan duel. And I look over next to me, and my dad is sound asleep in the theater next to me. He wasn't a Star
such
Wars
a dad
guy.
move. That's such a dad move. Yeah.
White New Balances propped up on the seat in front of you.
Working 70 hours a week makes it tough to watch Obi-Wan and Anakin have a little bitch fight, doesn't it? It's like
my mom, big Star Wars fan growing up. She's there. My dad's in between us. I'm there, and it's like this height of the moment. And I'm like, oh my god, he just. Hey, get out! You fell asleep during that. The loud music, the awesome fighting. You're like,
how? Yeah. The sound of the rushing lava and everything. It's very loud.
Because that's what dads do. It's crazy. They fall asleep in chaos. Like they're like Vietnam vets, all of them. Some
I have to learn their ways, I guess.
They're all equipped for it. Yeah.
But it was just one of those things where now he has seen the prequels. He loves the prequels. They're actually his favorite trilogy. I think, but he's watched them once my nephew started getting involved in Star Wars. So, but that was it. And I mentioned this last week, and this is something not last week, May 4th on our draft. This is something that I always think of. So I'm going to say it again because it's tied into it and because people may not have watched that draft. But my friend and I, in between episodes 2 and 3, would always be playing with lightsabers. I'd go over his house. We're playing acting out scenes from the movie, doing stupid jokes, right? So there was this one joke we had where Yoda is fighting Mace Windu for some reason, okay, in this example, and breaks the glass of a Coruscant window and pushes Mace Windu out the window and says, window, right? Something like that. Play on words. And Mace Windu falls out of it, okay? We also had this bit where we force push at the same time and both of us stand still and then let go and we both went flying backwards. And then I get out of this damn movie and I had to call him up and say, George ripped us off. Both of those things were in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So we had these jokes that he was listening in on us and stuff. But so,
Yes.
Actually pretty good. Let me jot that down.
Yeah. 2 very minimal stakes predictions we made. Hey, so
still counts.
Yeah. So that sticks with me everywhere I go when I think of this movie. And every time those scenes pop up, I think of that moment. But
hell yeah. This movie was an interesting one for me. Jordan, I think you're 1 year older than me. So at this time I was 13 or 12 going on 13. And like you said, we pretty much knew that this was the end. So I consciously, when I saw this movie, I had this weird sort of thing in my head, because that's also an age where it's you're starting to get a little older, right? And it's oh, this is little kid stuff. And it's girls and sports and all this other stuff that you think you're supposed to because it's the cool thing. You know what I mean? You got to leave all this kid stuff aside. So I went into this movie being this is basically the end of my nerdydom. Once I see this and it's over, we're going into high school next year. You know what I mean? It's time to leave the kid stuff aside. That was literally my thought going into this movie. So it kind of made me weirdly enjoy it a little more. I don't know, as much as it was a cap on this trilogy and a cap on Star Wars, it was to me almost a cap on my childhood, which again I say at 12, which is hilarious and laughable because I was a kid. We're kids way older than that. But that was sort of what helped boost the hype and all the things like that. It was also because that's a pretty universal thing that happens to a lot of kids, right? You sort of go through those changes and you're the nerd if you like that stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, so I gotta cut you off there. Go ahead.
So it was also the last thing that I remember, all of us as kids, at least in my area, that everyone was super stoked about it, and it didn't and it wasn't the thing you were kind of talking to, hey, did you see Star Wars? You know what I mean? Making sure nobody saw you talking about it too loud in high school and stuff. So this was the last one that communally also felt like a big deal, in my grade class and stuff. So it's very sentimental to me for that reason. And obviously, I'm very glad I've come back to it in the years since. But there was like a 10-year gap from that point until literally till the prequels came along or the sequels came along. And that was when I started getting back into Marvel too. So there was like 10 years where I just wasn't in any of this stuff. And that was kind of like the bookend of it. But all right, I've ranted. Jordan, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, maybe not so universal for me anyway, because
I was wrong, by the way. I was an asshole, and I missed out on a lot of really fun years just because I thought it wasn't like cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, I was still a nerd in high school to the point where one of my friends, Walter, had an organization that we called the Empire, and we actually had ranks and all that kind of stuff. We were very lame, okay? That's why I didn't have a girlfriend in high school, okay? And I would still play Pokemon and all that stuff. I was, I've never really had that moment where I've been like this. So I think it's funny that at 12 you're like, this is it, I'm growing up, because it is like something you do hear other kids say and stuff. But for me, I was just always like that kid that didn't care what other people kind of thought, I guess, and just was like, I like this, I'm gonna keep doing this, type of thing.
Yeah. And you were right, by the way. Like I said, I wish that I didn't, like, there was so much stuff. And I mean, I guess it was kind of cool because it gave me a lot to, like, with Clone Wars and stuff, a lot to catch up on when I did finally get back into it. But yeah, like, I look back at that today at 32 and I'm like, wow, I was like a bigger dork for thinking that way and not just continuing to enjoy the things that I liked just because, I was afraid if I was going to get made fun of, or like, I very much had one of those kind of schools too. So that it was a lot of peer pressure. Like if I was surrounded by a lot of people that were still into it and stuff, it might've been a little easier, but yeah, it was just one of those things, man.
All right, Tommy, your experience, first time you saw Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, a little different than you guys. I think I kind of exist in the generation between like you guys being kind of actual kids for this movie and then the people above me, which were like the theater. So like I think of my generation as like the VHS generation. Like we all were introduced to Star Wars via VHS in the late 80s. Like that was like and we all saw the originals. And then our next experience with Star Wars was the special editions that came out with all these weird added things that like we were just kind of like, eh. And so like when the new movies came out and they were more like the special editions than they were like the VHS tapes, there was a real sense of like, betrayal is a dramatic word, but I think the most toxic Star Wars fans were like the people, 18 to 30, that were like, like, what is this? Why aren't there puppets? Why is everything digital? Why does no one seem to actually be standing in the room that they're really in? It was like, if you think about like the blockbusters that when I was your guys' age, when you saw this movie, the movies I was seeing was like Jurassic Park, where it's like these big practical robotic dinosaurs, like, kind of this like triumph of practical effects. And it's like, so, and then this started the direction of these movies, like, I think kind of culminating in like Sky Commander and The World of Tomorrow, which was like literally just shot on a screen with actors and actresses. Like there was no practical sets on that movie. And it's like, that I think kind of put the death knell in that being the way that for that existing just like that. Like now they have to, have some layers to it. But, Phantom Menace came out and everybody kind of saw it and was like, that was good, right? That was good, right? That was good. Like, that was good. We had fun, right? We're okay. Like, it's a little weird. I don't know. I think I want to bully that kid, but there's no place I can do it. The internet's not really that popular right now. I really want to bully him in a forum where I can do it anonymously, but I have to just say it anecdotally to my friends in real life. So I'm not going to bully him too bad. And then Clone Wars came out and we were pissed. We were like, what is this? Or Attack of the Clones, sorry. And we were like, what? We were furious about it. And then, I think Revenge of the Sith kind of was like, it was like this was our chosen one. Like this was like the prophecy said this movie was going to bring us back into Star Wars, the heyday of Star Wars, whatever that was. Like, I don't even blame the older Star Wars fans for being angry with the prequels. I think it was my generation because we were the only ones that were internet savvy at that point. Like, we were the ones that were like, we were the first like generation of people that like got on AOL with discs and like knew how to go online and just flame shit. So it was like, so I think like for me, I liked Revenge of the Sith. I think to this day, I just rewatched it right before we did this. There are some moments in that movie where I'm like, is Yoda the biggest asshole of all time? Like, does he do one thing correctly in this? Like this prequel thing just kind of establishes like what a complete like incapable asshole he is. Like every decision he makes feels kind of wrong-headed or belligerent. Like he reminds me of like a 90-year-old senator that's just like voting the way he voted in the 70s because he's like, I'm scared of AI. But it's like I think so. To me, I love this movie. I really do. I've grown to like absolutely love this movie. Mainly based on Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen's like tragic brother relationship that falls apart. I mean, that's their lightsaber battle is this movie for me. You know, like there's so much other parts of it that I can kind of snicker at and be like, oh, that's silly George Lucas Star Wars and not good Star Wars, whatever that means. But that lightsaber battle alone puts this movie in a elite tier for me. And I think, you know, Ron, your point about like the nerd culture thing, I totally understand that. But I think, you know, being someone who was at that age, like in the late or in 2000, it's like that's when like pop culture nerddom really started to take off. Like it hit its like it really got up to speed in like 2010. But it's like you have Spider-Man, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, Harry Potter, X-Men movies. Christopher Nolan's Batman is coming right down. Lord of the Rings. It's like those were the big $300 million movies that the studios were making. You know, it wasn't like the 90s that had like cool like Speed and like, you know, like movies that were like action movies weren't ruling the roost. It was like these giant fantasy sagas or like, you know, sci-fi. So I like it kind of like to be in pop culture, you had to embrace those things. So we were never faced with that peer pressure, which I never thought about it until you brought it up. I was like, yeah, I wonder why that never really happened to me. It's like, oh yeah, because the biggest movie in America at any given month was a nerd, what would be considered a culture movie by today's definition. So it's interesting to think about that time period though.
So what was the sort of like general reception to the movie at the time? Was it
in my friend group, it was very much like Phantom Menace. It was like, that was good. That was good. That was cool. The lightsaber, like much like Phantom Menace for a lot of people is saved by the Darth Maul, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan lightsaber battle. I think they knew they had a certain type of Star Wars fans with those battles. Now, I would argue in this movie, the Yoda Palpatine lightsaber battle almost does away with that legacy because it's so ridiculous. Like it's just like two things that shouldn't move the way that they're moving with like no justification for it. It's like Palpatine literally just changed colors and like shape, and he's like agile and like flipping around. And Yoda, we don't know how tall or long he is at any given point. Like he's just a confusing creature that we're hopefully going to learn more about through Grogu, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I remember liking it. I remember being let down in general by the prequels when they first came out in their theatrical run. But I also remember later on feeling like I was heavily influenced into that. Like I was being told I should be let down by a lot of like IGN in its early days and like websites that were like, you know, like you go there to find out how you should feel about movies. And they were all kind of saying like, what the hell is this shit? You know, like it was like, so I don't like, once I watched them as like a little more of an independent adult, I was like, I like this. This is fun. This is great. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with this. This is not only not bad, this is good. It's like, yeah. So that's why I say my opinion.
From what I remember, the sentiment was like Revenge of the Sith was the only good one out of the prequels.
That used to
that's
be
what I remember.
I mean, people were a lot harsher. Phantom Menace has gotten some kind of like retro bump, like we all loved it, and it's like no, people were like kind of looking at each other when Phantom Menace ended, being like, was that good? Was that good? I really wanted to be good, but like, and then Attack of the Clones was just generally by my age group, people were just like Attack of the Clones. We felt like we're like, why did we just watch that? This movie doesn't even feel like a movie. It just feels like it's like, you know, it's like this weird computer animated, like it's hard to tell who's human and who's not, and like, you know, I mean, these are now 20-year-old special effects, even in, you know, Revenge of the Sith, but it's like the promise of George Lucas and Lucasfilm is like, this is the cutting edge of this. What you're watching is the best version of this. So
Yeah. And it was a little rough.
When you're watching Order 66 be executed and you can't really discern the clone troopers from the clone troopers in the Clone Wars cartoon, like you realize that they kind of are exactly the same. Like when they're riding along on those speeder bikes, it's like that's just the animation, basically, probably. They never.
All of the clones' armor and everything was CG. That for Revenge of the Sith, and I think for both Attack of the Clones, they did not have actual clone armor that Morrison is wearing. They are just straight up CG, and you can tell when like Commander Cody is handing him back his lightsaber that something's not right. It's kind of like that shot from Infinity War where Ruffalo's in the Hawkbuster and it looks kind of it kind of looks like that, but with Tamora Morrison instead.
No, you're right. It was actually, I will say too, because like I don't know if it was just the age we were at the time or whatever, but like in the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, I didn't really notice it that much. Maybe it's just because I was still just so dialed in on like the story and but by the time I saw this one, I remember like actually consciously having the thought of like, ooh, that doesn't look very good. You know what it was for me? The one in particular, Palpatine's quarters, the red room. Like it literally just, it was like so obviously totally a green screen. Like that was the one that I was like, ooh, that kind of takes me out of it a little bit. Yeah. But, still great. We're just kind of nitpicking.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, like, these are the criticisms that we make now, like, with, we have access to all this behind-the-scenes information. And, they're like, we're not condemning the storytelling of it. You know what I mean? And even, like, Hayden Christensen's performance, which was kind of panned at the time. Like, they're like, he's so whiny and which is so funny because it's like that was Mark Hamill's, like, the criticism. It's like, If you take it on face value that he's supposed to play someone that is genetically related to Luke Skywalker, like I think he freaking nails it. Like it's like he is so Luke in this movie, like except he's like evil Luke. Like he's just I don't like this. Oh, you're lying to me. Liar.
Like, I want to be a Jedi Master.
You're not with me, then you're against me. It's like
one thing I heard, and because people get on the way he delivers lines and stuff, but one thing I had heard from like another podcast that heard it from an interview, I think, or something, but so look, I haven't fact checked this, but like one of the things that they said Hayden Christensen was doing with his delivery was trying to match the James Earl Jones delivery. You know how he has like a totally different cadence of speaking that like if you put the Vader filter, like Hayden was pretty much thinking like if you put the Vader filter over it would sound like Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And I can kind of see that with some of the way he delivers like little weird breaks in between words or,
I think that's a really lovely idea. I think someone should have stopped him from doing that. They should have been like, the reason James Earl Jones and Darth Vader sound like that is because his vocal cords got burned. You can talk normal for this movie.
Right.
It's fine. There's no, like,
but it's interesting that he would.
But
have,
it is
like,
very. That does make
behind
sense.
it, So maybe somebody should have stopped him on that. But I'm glad to see he's starting to get his flowers now because I never really had a problem with his acting.
Me either. I always kind of took it as like this is a very flawed character who's like misbehaving this entire movie and lying to people and doing all of this stuff. It's like, this checks out to me. Like this makes sense that like he's acting crazy and like some of these line deliveries off. It's like he's off in this movie. He's like the love of his life is carrying their children, and it's like, and he's like he's killing people that he knows and cares about. It's like the emotional stakes for him are all over the place. Like I don't think like a grounded, really dramatic performance would have made sense. Like he needed to be kind of melodramatic for this. It's like an opera, space opera, as George Lucas has always said. It's just I think we want everything to be Saving Private Ryan. It's like
my biggest concern with it was not his performance, it was the writing in the sense of I still think he turns too quickly. Like
I agree. I think it's like the scene with him and Mace Windu and Palpatine, you're like, I'm gonna think about it for an extra second. Like, give it an extra second.
And then just immediately, it's just like, yep, you know what? You're actually my master now.
I think it's just supposed to show, like, I think, like, the way I always interpret it was, like, he had already kind of made his mind up, but, like, he was, like, this was him just being, like, all right, fine. Like, he had started to be, like, I will do whatever it takes to make sure that Padme is safe. Like, my number one fear is losing Padme. Like,
is she safe? Is she all right?
He repeats it 9 times in the movie, so you know that it's important. Like, I won't lose you like my mother. Like, it's like, okay. But I think, like, I think it's not well shown. But if you, like, take it as like pretty much the second that Palpatine revealed that he could keep Padme safe forever,
that was it.
Anakin was like, I'll do whatever you ask me to do. Like, whatever you want me to do, I'll do it.
Yeah, the theater scene, I was just going to say that was when I think he decided that this was what he was going to do. He just was looking for some justification in his head, and he kind of got a half-assed way to do that with all.
It's like when you want to fight with your girlfriend or like a family member, and you're just waiting for them to say something that you can get offended, and they don't quite nail it. Like, they say something that's like maybe 5% passive aggressive, and you blow up on them, and you're like,
really?
Oh, great!
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, I do that all the time. I'm basically Darth Vader.
Let it boil up and boil up and boil up until you're just waiting for something to snap on. The most healthy way.
Set a trap.
The most healthy way to handle all of your emotions. Really.
I know it doesn't seem like we're breaking any new ground here. I think we're just guys being bros.
Just riffing. Just riffing.
We're just riffing.
Okay, how about favorite moments of Revenge of the Sith? So you said the lightsaber duel, right? Like, do we have one, Ron, do you have one that's not like the lightsaber duel that you're in your mind that you're like, hey, that's a pretty big highlight of the movie?
Yeah, the theater scene would definitely be one of them. That was what I wrote down as like mine, because I figured that the Battle of Mustafar would get taken in the beginning with Dooku and everything is just sick, so dope. But yeah, that scene in the theater, like everything about it, down to just the little like atmospheric changes from like how it starts as this like celebratory thing, you know, they're at the theater catching a show, and then like the music slowly starts to shift in the background, and it gets that like, what is it, like throat singing? You know what I'm talking about? That like, oh, that like they always play, like they always play it for like Palpatine, and
yeah.
They played it in the Acolyte too, right at the end with Plagueis when he was there. Yeah. So I guess it's just the Plagueis theme, but yeah, like the way that slowly starts to like enter the scene, and by the time that Palpatine's telling Anakin, you know, have I ever told you the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? Like, it's just like, so that music is so dominant in the scene that it's like, oh, it like kind of chills you a little bit. It was really cool. So that was my favorite, just sort of like talky sort of scene. I also do have to mention the Grievous and Obi-Wan fight, though. Just very unique. I would have loved to see how they filmed that. Just like how do you simulate? How do you like? Because even with Yoda, it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's way more simple in my head, and I don't know shit. But like, it feels like that would be a lot easier to replicate than like, how do you simulate yourself fighting that?
Right.
This buzzsaw armed lightsaber droid, like, just the whole scene's awesome. And the way he takes him out, he just kind of caps him in the chest like 4 times with a blaster.
Yeah.
He like explodes from within. It was a very, very like as brutal of a death, I think, as a droid could probably have. So that shit was awesome, man.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I'm trying to think of what else in this movie. Like, I mean, like, obviously I pop hard for that lightsaber battle every time, but I was thinking there was a specific moment that I also very much enjoyed that I was trying to remember that has now left my brain. So I'll try that.
I named like 7 of them there. My bad.
That's all right. You're doing good. It wasn't one of those. It was like a really little inconsequential moment that I was like, oh yeah, I like that. Oh yeah. It's like establishing Chewbacca as the Forrest Gump of Star Wars, when he's like the one that's like, where he's like, I will miss you, Chewbacca. It's like,
here's a problem.
It's like, what?
The problem I have with it, okay?
Yeah. I think it's ridiculous, just so you know, but I do like it.
Han Solo does not believe in the Force at all.
Yeah.
And every time he's talking shit about the Force, Chewbacca never says, "Actually, I did know this Yoda guy who was there, and he was pretty cool." Like he never mentions this to Han Solo at all.
Chewbacca has a like Han Solo humiliation fetish. Like he just loves watching him talk a bunch of shit when he goes to wrong. He's like,
he doesn't have a clue.
You're an idiot. I actually partied with that guy back in the 80s. It's like,
oh, you know another one is not favorite scene, but it always cracks me up, and it's become a meme since. The Obi-Wan standing with his hands on his hips in the door on the ship.
Yeah.
When Padme's talking to him.
Someone posted this as rage bait, but it totally worked on me for like 3.5 seconds before I realized what they were doing. But they were like, maybe Anakin wouldn't have killed Padme if Obi-Wan wasn't busy aura farming over on his ship. Like,
guess who posted that? Me.
What's that?
Yes.
He posted it. Yeah.
You posted that? Yeah. Wait, did you write that meme?
I shared the picture. I got to find it. Hold on.
No, I think you shared it, but someone else wrote that meme, and I was like,
"Oh, really?
Aura farming? Yeah." I was like, "Aura farming? What the fuck is that?" Sorry. So what the hell is that?
I don't think I said aura farming. I shared that picture, and it was something.
What knocked me into a rage was not a rage, but what knocked me into like oh my god, we're talking like idiots again. Was the phrase aura farming used in like a Star Wars thing where it's like. This obsession. It's funny because like we had an obsession with the word era for a long time, like 5 years ago. It was like everyone had to get into their new era, and then Taylor Swift kind of killed that with the Eras tour, where it was like, all right, she's like the queen of all this. And now I feel like aura has taken over, where it's like everyone is defined by their aura, which means nothing. I mean, it could mean something if you believe in it spiritually, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, but like you can define your aura as whatever. And like I can label you, Ron, with an aura that has nothing to do with how you're doing or feeling and try and influence the people on the internet to feel that way. And that's what knocked me out with that image, because I was like, this is the stupidest thing ever. What are you talking about?
I'm going to sound like a boomer here for a second. I can't stand the aura farming stuff. It's every post now. Anytime there's a picture of someone, they just released a new look of Superman, and people are like, "He's aura farming." I'm like, "He's standing still."
Well, it's because standing. It's because we're idiots.
Oh my god!
And it's because you get more engagement off of repeating viral phrases than you do off of having original thoughts. That's why people comment the same thing in comments underneath. Like if you go on Instagram and watch any video, the first 3 comments are going to be "Nice try, Diddy," which makes no sense.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the video, but they all get 3,000 likes on them. And I don't even know if that does anything for you as an Instagram user, but it does something for mentally ill people like myself who get off on dopamine rushes when people like their comments or posts. So it's like, I mean, I really like viral commenting is the bane. It's like almost my least favorite thing on the internet, where it's like, people who have never originally commented anything, they just take a comment from another viral video that got a lot of likes, they comment it, plug and play it in underneath. It's played for humor. It's the way like those like Instagram aggregator comedy accounts like 10 years ago, where like everyone's like, wow, like F Jerry and the fat Jewish guy, like that was his name. Literally, I'm not that his name was the fat Jew on Instagram. I'm not an anti-Semite. I swear to God, he's a fellow fat man. They're like, those guys are hilarious. Like they were getting like brand deals for being comedians, and all they did was steal. They just stole.
They would just screenshot a Twitter meme and put it up there.
That's why like brain rot is another word that was like created by this like new generation of slang, but it does feel like the most appropriate label for it. Like it's like we can't even respond in an original way now. This is turning into a rant that has nothing to do with Revenge of the Sith. But it's just so I don't know. It just drives me crazy. It really drives me nuts.
It drives me crazy. I was stewing on it all day, honestly. I was. So like, hey.
Well, because it gets rewarded. It just feels so unfair. Now I'm like Anakin. I don't like it. It's these people are like. And it's not like I'm commenting quippy gold or even commenting at all, but it's like the fact that I click on something and it's guaranteed the first 3 top most liked comments are a thing that was plagiarized from somewhere else on the internet is maddening to me. And maybe that does tie into the fact that AI is killing, a lot of the creative jobs in our industry in terms of graphic design and writing and copywriting. Maybe I'm just sensitive to the idea that like no one's work is original anymore. And maybe that is a hyperbole, obviously, but it just drives me nuts. But honestly, if he hadn't aura farmed, I think Padme still be
alive. Well,
dead internet theory, man.
That's what I said.
It's all just robots at this point. Dead
That's
internet.
Right. That's true. It's all Russian bots.
My picture froze.
I was going to say, Jordan was just froze. Like,
I thought you had a stroke. I was like, oh my God, we really upset him.
I was aura farming, I guess.
You were doing the thing. Come on, man. You can't aura farm like that. That's just wrong.
All right, one of my favorite scenes is going to sound ironic here, maybe.
Poor Jordan, that was half an hour ago we started talking about this.
Because my boy dies in this scene, okay? But my boy Kit Fisto is part of this crew that goes in, and they're going to try to break him down. Here's me with Kit Fisto, by the way.
Wow.
Me and my wife with Kit Fisto.
What's up, Kit Fisto?
My favorite Jedi that's not Obi-Wan Kenobi, so...
Kind of rude that he can smile while he's slicing down enemies, but he can't even crack a smirk while he's got you guys for the picture. What the hell?
That's true.
He's got a little smile actually on the face mask there, but he was just so cool, and he's part of this crew that goes in, and I just kind of love the vibe of it too. Like, oh, shit's going down. Like, he goes in there, all four of them standing there, like, Chancellor, you're under arrest, and I'm like, oh, this is getting good, right? Like, it's like that scene kind of goes downhill once Palpatine does like this weird cry and starts killing them, like, no problem, right? But one of my favorite things, and I'm going to also transition to memorabilia at the same time here, because this is one of my favorite memorabilia, the Revenge of the Sith novel. Okay, this came out before the movie. I was reading it in my 8th grade science class when I'd finished my test and stuff.
Which is insane, by the way. That
they did not care about spoilers back then.
Yeah. I mean, granted, I guess we all knew what happened, so it's not.
But we didn't know how.
And I'll say, not to sound like a person that was probably in the documentary The People versus George Lucas, but the book, I would say, is better than the movie. Okay. And I'm going to read some excerpts from it, because this scene is just so much better, I feel like, in the book. So, one, you also have Anakin. They show him like being kept at the council, and he is like pacing, and he's saying like, what have I done? So he's saying, what have I done already? Which I think is a nice call back to later on when he's going to say, what have I done, when he helps kill Mace. But he is like debating at that point, like, I've just killed Padme because I let them know that Chancellor Palpatine is the Sith. And he's going to be like kind of harsh to Shaak Ti and force her to like let him go confront Palpatine. And he doesn't call her Master Shaak Ti either. He just says Shaak Ti, and she notes this according to the book. But anyway, it's like the following is a transcript of an audio recording presented before the Galactic Senate on the afternoon of the first Empire Day. Identities of all speakers verified and confirmed by voice print analysis. And it's like, Palpatine, why Master Windu? What a pleasant surprise, right? And he's like still keeping up the ruse longer than he does in the movie. Like, Mace is like, we know who you are. We're taking you into custody. And Palpatine's like, I beg your pardon? What I am? When last I checked, I was Supreme Chancellor of the Republic. You are sworn to serve. I hope I misunderstand what you mean by custody. It smacks of treason, right? Like, just like he is still playing it because he knows this thing is recording. And what they do is they play this whole like exchange, and then at a certain point it cuts off, and then it goes back and plays like what is actually happening. So you get to see it from another perspective. And like, there's a point where he like stabs his own computer after he takes out Saesee Tiin and Kit Fisto. He goes back and takes out his own computer so it stops recording. And then he's like, then he kind of lets the guard down, says, that's enough of that. Right. And then he starts, battling through. So I thought that was really cool. But here is the part that's like has been ingrained in my head since I was in 8th grade, and how I thought the scene was going to be a lot better in the movie. So here's Anakin getting there. So he says, it says their blind lives meant nothing now, none of them, because ahead on the vast cliff face of the Senate office building, one window spat lightning into the rain to echo the lightning of the storm outside. But this lightning was the color of clashing lightsabers, green fans, sheets of purple, and crimson flame. He was too late. The green fire faded and winked out. Now the lightning was only purple and red. His repulsor lifts howled as he heeled the speeder up onto its side, skidding through the wind shear turbulence to bring it to a bobbing halt outside the window of Palpatine's private office. A blast of lightning hit the spire of 500 Republica, only a kilometer away, and its white burst flared off the window, flash blinding him. He blinked furiously, slapping at his eyes in frustration. The colorless glare inside his eyes faded slowly, bringing into focus a jumble of bodies on the floor of Palpatine's private office. Bodies in Jedi robes. On Palpatine's desk lay the head of Kit Fisto, face up, scalp tentacles unbound in a squid tangle across the ebonite. His lidless eyes stared blindly at the ceiling. Anakin remembered him in the arena at Geonosis, effortlessly carving his way through wave after wave of combat droids, on his lips a gently humorous smile, as though the horrific battle were only some friendly jest. His severed head wore that same smile. Maybe he thought death was funny too. Just like, man.
A little more brutal. A little more brutal.
Yeah. I need to get this. I need to read this.
You have to. Yeah, it's written by I'm going to say the name of the author here. It is not Baltimore Ravens kicker legend Matthew Stover. It is the other Matthew Stover. So we talked about two Matt Berries. We now have two Matt Stovers here.
I'm really glad you didn't say the other Ravens kicker. Yeah. He's in a little bit of trouble right now.
Yeah, now Stover might be the greatest of all time for the Ravens. Okay.
Matt Stover's going back up in the Ring of Honor.
Yeah. Oh, man. But
I remember reading that in my 8th grade class, that passage.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And being like, oh my God, this is nuts. And then I get to the movie and they get taken down like chumps.
SMH.
I have a stunning confession to make. I have never been one for the novelizations of books. I mean, I think I read novelizations of movies.
I was going to say novelizations of books.
Novelizations of books are the only way you can read a novelization, I'm pretty sure. But like I've always like struggled with them. Like they used to be in the grocery store, like right at the checkout line. It would be like whatever movie was hot, they'd be like the novel version. But I did read the novelization of E.T. when I was a kid, and that was incredible. And then of course I read Jaws before, but I read the novel Jaws before the movie Jaws was adapted from that. So that's well worth it too.
I don't usually read them, and I was just at the height of my fandom. And I was like, oh, the movie's coming out. I can know everything that happens before it happens.
Now it's like a cool little way of workaround. Like it's kind of like watching Disney Plus with the captions on when you're watching the show.
Right.
You label the characters' names and you're like, okay, great. Like on a show like Andor where there's 8,000 characters. You're like, that's that character's name. Okay.
But the downside was like after I read that one, I tried reading the Phantom Menace and the Attack of the Clones ones, and they were by different writers that I was going to say
it's not Matt Stone. Yeah.
No, and I could not get through those. So it really is like a lot of people hail this as like the best of the novelizations when it comes to the books.
And those ones were actually written by Justin Tucker. So that's where
that's right. The very same.
All right, so let's talk about merch. Yeah. My other item here is these Burger King watches. I have all 6 of them. But like this is a little damaged now, but this was the Revenge of the Sith one here. So this is the other. I always keep it in here, but yeah, there is a watch on the inside that has like Anakin on one side, Vader on the other side, with his yellow Sith eye. Hold on, his yellow Sith eye down here from the.
Wow, and those were made by Rolex, right?
Yeah.
Did they do those for multiple Star Wars movies, the watches? I feel like they did, but I could totally.
They did them for all 6, but I think it was after Revenge of the Sith came out. It was kind of like to celebrate Revenge of the Sith. I think they did like it says 2005. So I think it was like while this was coming out, they had one for each of the 6 because this was the last one ever. There was no other Star Wars after this, right? That they did that. But I'm waiting for them to come out with the sequel versions of these. So Burger King, you're on the clock.
Shimon.
It's the only thing that's getting me to Burger King these days, brother. But we don't need to go down another side tangent here. I'm a Wendy's guy. Don't judge me. All right, merchandise.
All right. Wendy's is fine.
Wendy's have really good burgers. I like their burgers a lot.
I mean, I think of the merchandise from this movie. It's like this is like a bittersweet memory too, because I was 20 when this movie came out. So like I had kind of moved beyond my child version of toy collecting, which was like collect to play, and had become kind of a quasi adult collector of like, oh, these are cool pieces of history to have. Like, I'll keep these toys sealed, or I'll keep this like commemorative pen set sealed, or this Matchbox car sealed. And like, you know, it's like one of the things that you get like once you stop, you know, you care what people think at certain ages when you're in high school and even college. I think so, a lot of people do. Some people don't, and they're very lucky. But then you, at a certain point, most adults reach an effort age where they're just like, some of them are 70 when they do it, some of them are 30. And I can remember being like 30 and having all these sealed toys, and my nephews came of like toy playing age, and I was like, rip those suckers open. And like, I was finally able to enjoy the toys of Revenge of the Sith, like as a like 30 something year old with my nephews, playing with them for the first time. And they were awesome. And they were, it didn't hurt that they were valueless, right? Like Kenner overproduced, mass produced. I mean, at that point, it might have been Hasbro by then, but it was like, there were so many versions of these toys, and you would have thought I would have learned my lesson, but when Force Awakens came out one night back when I was drinking, I spent like $300 on Force Awakens toys. So
I did that
those all
drinking.
got open eventually
too.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I did a lot of dumb things when I was drinking, so there's just added to the wood pile. But yeah, I think like I have this sense of like I probably have my biggest disconnect of any Star Wars movie merchandise with Revenge of the Sith. Because as an adult now, when these movies come out, I buy whatever I want. You know, like it's like if I really want like a die-cast Harrison Ford, you know, figure that's like, you know, weighs 10 pounds, I'll buy that and keep it and get some sort of joy from it. Or I'll buy like a limited edition art press or something and put it in a frame. So it's like my buying is much more intentional now. But I think at that point, you know, I was in college, broke. I probably wasn't buying any. It probably had to be my only souvenirs were probably free things from fast food restaurants, I would say.
Well, that's a good transition. Oh, and maybe not fast food restaurants, but it is a good transition because I teased this at the beginning of the show. Jordan, do you have the picture ready to go?
Yes, I do. Yep.
Okay. So perhaps, you know, Star Wars did a lot of these kind of giveaway things, the toys and the Happy Meals and the this and that. My favorite by far was, Jordan, pull it up.
Oh, hold on. I had
I even gave you like the 10-second cue.
I downloaded all the images ahead of time, but it didn't have it. Okay, hold on.
What are you doing to me?
All right, tee it up again. I got it.
Tee it up again, baby.
Take 2. So I teased this at the beginning of the show. These things were, you know, there was toys and the Happy Meals and all that kind of stuff. As far as the giveaway type of like cool stuff, by far the best. I'm talking about the lightsaber cereal spoons.
Oh,
Tommy, do you remember these?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Oh wow.
They had the red one and the blue one and the green one, and they were so cool. This was like at the time like peak cereal technology. We're talking about.
I don't know if I do remember this.
Really?
These were cool. Yeah, I had this as well. Right.
I'm sad that I don't remember this. The
Frosted Flakes box is like iconic with the Yoda jumping out right there. But yeah, the spoon would light up. It would have like a little battery in it, and you'd put this clear spoon on the lightsaber, and it would shine the light through it, and it would light up as a thing. And I would eat cereal with it. It was amazing.
This looks the red one looks a little crack pipey.
Yeah, it also looks a little, there's some other things you can kind of infer. What that looks like.
Yeah, it's a little, the orb at the end doesn't look so spoon-shaped.
Yeah.
When you zoom out.
No,
from 10,000
Okay,
feet.
well, you know, not ever on our minds when we were getting this.
No, certainly not. Certainly not.
But somebody out there, you just know, somebody at least gave it a shot, and I'd be interested to hear how the results were. Anyway,
call in if you use the Frosted Flakes lightsaber spoon as a marital aid. Just call the hotline.
But nah, man, these things were awesome. I had like 10 of them. Like I had never eaten more Kellogg's cereal in my life.
Did they come in the boxes, or did you have to send
it? Yeah.
Every
inside the box.
Okay, so this is where being 20 and having Bush Light for breakfast really bit me in the ass.
Yeah.
Dude, you could have been, scooping it up with the spoon if you were just a little more in the know at the time.
If I just had a little more sense of a balanced breakfast, I guess. But
yeah, you could still have the Bush. You just gotta, have some Frosted Flakes.
You gotta have a grapefruit, some Frosted Flakes, some toast, some eggs, and 10 Bush Lights.
Yeah, but instead of the milk, right? Like
that's yes, maybe.
I definitely had a blue one, and I think I had a red one. I don't know if I ever got the green.
Oh no, yeah, they were. I'm trying to think. Because I feel like it was a situation where you have, like, with a lot of these things where it's like there was one of them that was super rare to get. I think it may have been the green, so that would track. I remember there was one because I legitimately had like 8 to 10 of these things, and there was like I remember there was 2 of them that I had an abundance of, and there was one of the colors that I was I had like 1 or 2. But yeah,
I've got good news for you.
Yes.
Evidently, a working conditioned lightsaber spoon on eBay right now is okay. A broken one is $20. A working one is $40.
Oh, that's not bad.
You can get a working green one for $45. And green is the rare color.
Oh, okay.
Blue and reds they were giving away. Blue and reds were basically free.
They should have had green as well be kind of like a populated one, but then had purple be the rare one because Mace is the only one with it. Like that's what they should have done.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Kellogg's, 20 years too late now, but I'm trying to tell you what you could have done.
Yeah. I'm literally adding this to my cart right now as we speak. I'm so buying this.
Well, you know what I did? This just took me down a little Kellogg's rabbit hole. I forgot about the R2-D2 popcorn bowl. Well, I think they were just regular bowls, but they had one. I had the popcorn bowl, but that was gifted to me at a convention later in life.
Ooh, nice.
But all the like food tie-in Star Wars stuff, like that's the stuff that I actually still like enjoy. Like I have a lot of my old cups. Like I have the Pizza Hut cups with like I think they were Pizza Hut cups that had like the people on top that could like move around. And,
George, you can pull it up. That's one of the next ones.
I think you're referring to the
7-Eleven
Phantom Menace one had it as well.
Yes.
But there is this thing that Ron also had here, the Slurpee 7-Eleven. I don't recall the
Phantom Menace one because I have Watto.
Yeah, check.
Okay. Watto. Okay, so yeah, that was earlier, but yeah, these were a thing that they did. I guess for both. Does that say Baja Blast? What kind of can't even tell what kind of Mountain
Baja Blast?
Is it that or Pitch Black? I don't know. I can't even tell.
I think that might be Pitch Black because Baja Blast is Taco Bell exclusive.
Yeah, true. Okay, yeah, so that has to be Pitch Black.
Well, it was. I think maybe they opened it up to the public domain, but
yeah, only Taco Bell can have this.
But yeah, this is the kind of stuff like you don't really, maybe you actually do see it, and I'm just not, frequenting these 7-Elevens or like McDonald's, Burger Kings, whatever anymore. But like, it doesn't feel like you see that much. Like we're seeing a little bit of it. I know Jordan. Jordan really excited that Superman's kind of starting to give us a little bit more of that. So
I like it too, but it is interesting. Like people, like fan discourse is so based on criticizing right now that it's like people are acting like we aren't like 10, 15 years removed from things being extensively tied into every like tentpole movies being tethered to all of these.
We used to get games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there'd be a video game companion
every movie.
There'd be like a board game companion. There'd be the Superman is advertising for their toys on TV, which is rare. We haven't had that in a long time. But like
that's what I'm talking about.
Out of shape about the Milk-Bone commercial. I was like, are you kidding me? Like Jurassic Park used to do commercials for like batteries, Oreos, like anything a dinosaur could eat. There would be a Jurassic Park like tie. It's like you said, like It's like this is lawyers. this is like nothing new or uncharted. It just goes to show you, like, if it hasn't happened in the last 3 years, you can get angry about it on the internet and get 30,000 people to be like,
Yep.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited to be like seeing. I just put out a tweet earlier today about it because it's like the ad for the Superman toys came out, and I'm like,
yeah,
when's the last time a movie had toy ads like this? And they have the Dairy Queen cups because it's going to be there. It's going to have toys at Burger King in Mexico. Maybe it'll come over here too. But like, I saw toys of these figures at a Burger King in Mexico, and it's like, it kind of feels like those Star Wars vibes where like maybe Superman is going to be plastered on all this stuff, like milk bone. Like, this is the type of stuff we used to see when this movie was coming out, or when like Spider-Man was coming out, Batman was coming out. This stuff was everywhere.
Oh my God. Any Batman movie had tie-ins with, like, all the fast food places, all the, like, like any like again, Oreos always jumps out, or Frito-Lay or things like that. Those big snack brands, or even just like household products, like paper towels would have like an image of a character from a movie. Like, they'd be like, I know, like the oranges are always the one that makes me laugh because they had the R2-D2 oranges in Los Angeles during the new Star Wars movies. And it was like, oh, okay, these are R2-D2 themed oranges. What is different about them? Nothing.
Yeah, they've Stitch on bananas right now for me. Like, I went
bananas
to
for Stitch, so that makes sense.
Yeah, that's why they did it, I guess. But it's that type of stuff where we haven't seen that for like a big tentpole for a while, and it's like, I can't find any Thunderbolt stuff. Like when Thunderbolt came out, like nothing. And that's
I think that's when they know, like, Thunderbolts is like a movie that's probably like, you have to be like 13 to like it, like really truly like it, because you have to have experienced identifiable depression before to be like,
right.
Yeah, it is better when you connect with people. Life is really bad when you isolate. Like, it's like, those are like no one under the age of 13, hopefully, God willing, has been allowed to isolate. Like, at that point, it's like, if they spend too much time in their room, there's immediately like a parental intervention. But it's I feel like that was like one of the funny things about Thunderbolts is, like, it did kind of feel like, it almost felt like it could have been an R-rated movie, right? Like, they could have gotten away with making that Marvel's second. I mean, the first true MCU R-rated movie, it would have been like, I don't think it would have been that big of a deal. I think it would have been fine.
Yeah, could have passed. Yeah.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I'd be remiss if I did not bring up. We talked about tie-in video games. This game was great, by the way. I don't know if you guys played the Revenge of the Sith game, but that alternate ending, I remember like lighting up when I found that, right? Where if you win the fight as Anakin on Mustafar, and it plays that alternate ending where he goes over top Obi-Wan at the high ground, stabs him, like does like a backhanded stab, kicks him down the mountain, and then goes and Palpatine arrives, and then he just like does this cool like little toss up and then grabs it and like stabs Palpatine, and he's like, "This is my empire now." And you're like, "Man, that was a pretty cool alternate ending. I really like that." It was sick as a kid.
Sick.
Yeah.
I actually did not know about that. I feel like maybe I didn't play this one then, because I know I played the first two. So maybe, but that's not ringing a bell for me. That's pretty dope.
Oh, I'll send you the cutscene. It's on YouTube. I just watched it the other day. Actually,
that's awesome.
It's really good.
But yeah, this movie it birthed a lot. It was probably the biggest driving force for Clone Wars, which we got after this. If that third movie hadn't been received well, I don't know if there would have been the push for, let's get an animated Star Wars show out there. You know what I mean? Like, this one they had to nail it, and they did. So I think like it left a pretty good legacy behind, and it's one of those, like you said, Tommy, it's kind of gotten better as we've gotten further away, like a lot of the prequels have.
Yep. Agreed.
I still think George would have kept making stuff. He had no F's to give. He was like,
fair. Do you guys think we see we already know that Hayden Christensen's coming back for Ahsoka. Do you think we see Portman and McGregor back in anything?
I just literally had a conversation about this. I think Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor have heavily both. I mean, Hayden Christensen is confirmed coming back, but Ewan McGregor has heavily teased coming back in some capacity. Natalie Portman has not really. I mean, she's kind of more been like nostalgic about it. I would love an exploration of like, you know, more about Padme's life, but I just don't know. Like, I don't know if it makes a lot of sense right now with like the direction that Star Wars is going in, where they have this constant problem of how much to pull from, you know, 20 plus years ago and how much to like create new, and like, can you make the new without, you know, heavy doses of the old, or what's the right, you know, kind of formula for like how much of this has to tie into things that are, you know, I was saying today on another thing that there's like, I think for like 90% of Star Wars fans, there's like 10 root characters that they know, right? Like they know Vader, Palpatine, Han, Leia, Yoda, whatever. And it's like your project has to be able to like linearly trace back to one of those 10 characters. Like there has to be something that like links to it, whether it's a relative, that character appearing, or that you're going to lose a huge swath of fandom that just isn't as invested as we are. Like they're just kind of like, I know Star Wars. I love Star Wars. Luke and Leia. Yes, I love it. I love it. Yoda, Chewie. It's like, I love Star Wars. And they're not wrong, you know, but it's easy to be like, you don't know the extended universe. You don't get it. You don't understand it. You're an idiot. You're simple. You're aura farming, and I'm disgusted.
By the way, I was just going to say before, really quick, we when we were talking about aura farming, we didn't reference like perhaps the biggest aura farming scene in all of Star Wars. Anakin walking up the steps at the Jedi Temple with the new that is
is that aura farming?
Oh yeah, he's aura farming.
Also, why does Yoda say that he has to go into exile and then have a complete other scene where he then says,
and then he sets a table?
That had to have been like a script problem, like issue, right? Like they must have changed that edit and not.
From what I heard, and I have the book for this, I'm gonna have to read it. But like they have like a behind the scenes book.
Yeah.
But there's also the Making Star Wars books by James W. Rinsler, who unfortunately passed away recently. But he. In one of these books that are out there, people said that like they kind of rewrote and reshot like a lot of Anakin's fall and stuff, which might be why it is a little different and maybe a little quick. There may have been other thoughts on where they're going with that, so maybe that's in line with it, or it's just, you know, the George Lucas of it, of, you know, he's prone to that, I think, not in like a bad way, I would say. Like, I'm not like shading him, but like there's times where he has characters repeat stuff that probably doesn't need to be repeated.
Sure. Yep. Makes sense. I'll take that as a response. I'll accept that answer.
Thank you.
Because I don't have a better one. And I've learned that if I don't know something and someone has a good answer, I can go ahead and live my life happy with that answer.
Yeah, headcanon. There you go. Okay, anything else about this movie?
I think I put my heart out there. I think I left it all out on the floor of Mustafar.
Yeah, man. You know, it was
like Anakin laying it all on the field.
That's right.
Yeah. But no, it was a great movie and a very interesting time. You know, it seems like we all had very different experiences with it, but that's great. That's, you know, what makes these things so fun. We all have different lenses with which we view them through. And, you know, I hope that one day that there's, you know, people our age having these same conversations about the sequels, you know, while we're all old and gray. Because that's what Star Wars is all about, man. It's just about that community, that fandom, and bringing everybody together. And this movie did that very well, I thought. So
I agree.
You know who will be having a good conversation about the sequels?
Who?
Us in December. It's the 10th anniversary of Force Awakens. So we got to do the 10th anniversary special.
Hell yeah.
Tommy, you're already in. Don't even worry
there
about
you go. This December.
I mean, The Force Awakens is how I got hired at Jimmy Kimmel. So I owe The Force Awakens my entire Jimmy Kimmel career. So I love
you have crazy stories then. So yeah, you're on the show. You're hired.
I'd love to.
Jordan, you've seen the clip, right? Of Tommy.
Yeah. I was gonna say Force Awakens not only got you hired at Jimmy Kimmel, got you hired here now. So you'll be on that.
Hey, all right. Look at that. The gift that keeps on giving. Thank you, JJ. JJ Abrams, my savior.
My muse.
My muse. Everything he does inspires me, and everything that happened before him inspires him clearly. So that's great. We're both easily inspired.
There you go. Lens flared up, right?
That's right.
Yeah, but Revenge of the Sith, not my favorite of the prequels. I think most people say it is. I'm still very prone to Phantom Menace. You know, just I rewatched that one more. This one's a little dour to rewatch for me in the sense of like
I think as a complete movie, Phantom Menace is a better movie. I think it just is a more complete. It's of the three, the most complete movie, beginning, middle, end, in terms of like satisfying viewer experience. I think there's some real clunky parts of this movie where you're just kind of like. I also think that is the human brain being like, we know this guy's turning into Vader. What's it going to happen? This guy's about to turn into Vader. What's it going to happen?
And it happens at the end of the movie.
Is he Vader yet? Is he Vader yet? Is he Vader yet? Okay, he's Vader now. Oh, now he's Vader for a long time. Wow, now he's really Vader. Oh, but he's now he's definitely Vader.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's so funny. But like, I know Anakin is trying to save Palpatine, but when he's like, he must stand trial, right?
Yeah.
And then immediately is like, I will bring peace and justice to my empire. I'm like, dude, that's a 180. Like,
yeah.
Well, yeah. It supports the notion that like he had already had his mind made up, and he was more just looking for that spark to the dynamite, as it were. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, thank you, Tommy, for coming on and sharing your thoughts for Revenge of the Sith.
My pleasure. Anytime, boys.
And where can people find you and follow your work?
You can find me at Tommy Bechtold on most social medias, and you can find my podcast, Guardians of the Galaxy, at Got Pals on X and Instagram.
All right, awesome. And you can follow all of us here at Supes and Sabers. Ron and I are there on our shows. We just did our Andor coverage. We have a great draft that we're going to try to wrap up Star Wars month in this month. So that'll be coming like in the next week or so. And you can also contact us.
You must contact me.
podawakens@gmail.com for Star Wars related emails. Or like I said, Supes and Sabers for all of our social media.
Never gets old.
I love it.
Thank you all for watching and listening along, and we will catch you next time.